Navarro.
Very excited to be here, and wow, it's been 12 months since our last 10X, and I'm very excited to be here today, so thank you. Nick, actually last night, he was telling me, Alex, I will give you a secret. I'm like, what? You're my favorite 6th generation, 25%. I'm like, oh, thank you so much for that. And I don't take that lightly because, guys, you cannot take this business for granted. You cannot take this community for granted. Most people don't have access to this type of environment. Most people, they pay over thousands of dollars to have access to some type of community, kind of like this one. And I'm so glad that I'm here. It's been the last few months. Actually, I have my 7-month-old baby back there. And it's been very exciting, an amazing journey. And it's just crazy. The last 3 months of her life, she's been in Vegas, she's been in Texas, she's been in Cancun, she's been in Europe, Italy, in Paris, in France, and now she's here. And in the next couple of weeks, she's gonna go with us to Texas again, Ohio. We're gonna go to Puerto Rico. It's crazy. She's 7 months. She's 7 months. My first trip that I remember, because according to my mom, I went when I was a baby. But my first trip, as I remember, my first trip was to come to the United States of America, July 28, 2008. So I came here, no English whatsoever. I just knew a couple, hi, how are you, and I was confused in spelling, like the actual word to spell as a Harry Potter, you know. So that was me. My mom, she made a decision to come to this amazing country back in 2003. I had 5 years without seeing her with 4 kids. I was 12 last time I saw her. And Brian was talking about upgrading and now the iPhones and how the phones have evolved. I only saw her on pictures only one time in 5 years till I came to the US. Then 2 weeks later, we have a little honeymoon, right? Our first 2 weeks in the US. And 2 weeks later, she dropped me off at high school and said, good luck, okay? So I'm very excited. This country has been a bless for us, for our family. And I love this country. But I'm just telling you guys that the dream is real. And I want you guys to write this down. Your story matters. Your story inspires others. And you have to do not take that for granted. Because your story is very important. When we talk about our business model, when we talk about our platform, when we talk about recruiting, and I always said this, recruiting is rescuing, but when we talk about our business model, a lot of people talk about compensation, they talk about our carriers, which all of those things are great. But what about you? I want you guys to write this question. Why are you here? And I know it's very profound. I know it's a very profound question. And maybe you will not have the answer today, but take this moment, these events, today and tomorrow, the networking events that we have afterwards, the connections that you will have. Start reflecting about that question. Because these events are made for us to help us to make a decision. That's why these events are so important. I see people that they qualify to be here actually, and they're not here. And I feel bad for them. I feel bad because you have to be close to the fire. Because these are the moments that you have to invest in yourself to become a better version of you. Because a lot of people, they pay, again, thousands of dollars to be part of these events. And you guys, some of you guys, you know, have probably $1, you know, with another dollar trying to count the dollars to be here. And that's the most important thing about you being here today. So give it up for you guys to be here today. Because my subject is how to have a turning point. And we're going to talk about it. And I will tell you about my story. And while I'm speaking about my story, I want you guys to start saying, okay, I connect with that, or maybe I do not connect with that. Because I will connect with some people. And I remember hiring long time ago, I mean, like months ago. We do a lot of things every day. It feels like a year in a week. But I remember Hiram said this. He said, a human being takes about 7 years to find in themselves, to grow themselves into a better version of themselves. About 7 years from scratch. And it's always an ongoing process. You never finish to become the better version. There's always another version of you, right? So some people come to our business and they already went through that stage in other opportunities in their lifetime. They already went through that, that phase of growing. And when they come here, they have an amazing experience in WFG and they go to higher ranks so quickly. We see Brian in 10 weeks SMB, that's great. But he went through those phases prior to this. There are some other people, like myself, that I came to this business, no sales background, no public speaking, and nothing, like nothing. Like I hated people, like really. When I talk about I hated people, I did, right? Or maybe I thought I did, right? But I'm telling you the story because maybe I will connect with some of you because I'm not the best example of doing it quick. But as Brian said, the most important thing about you is the decision that you will make of not quitting. Of not quitting. That's the most important key because all the success, the overnight success that I have, has been a 9-year preparation process to have an overnight success that I have now. But everything starts with what do you want? Why are you here? Why are you taking time away from your family, your business, from everything to be here this week? What are the things that you're going to take with you that you're going to implement right away so your business can propel? What connections are you going to have in this business right now, this week? What connections, what new connections you will have? Because you have two communities. You have the community that brings you down, and you have the community that lifts you up. And this is the community that lifts us up, and that's why we're here. Some of us came here with a full glass of water. Some of you guys have a very, very low, almost empty glass, and you guys are here to fill it up. But you have to understand that question of why you're here. You have to understand the question, what do you want from this event to you? Because when I came to this business back in 2016, I was prospecting in a very interesting way. I was already licensed, and I had this agency, I had these goals and dreams, and I just went to a birthday party in downtown Orlando, and we were having a good time. And two young guys, they approached us, and they started prospecting us. They say, hey, you look sharp, and this and that. And I remember that I felt like, these guys are weirds. And when they approached me to get my phone number, I said no. But one of my friends, he said yes. And they sat down with him a couple days later. They showed the presentation. And he said, I'm not interested. But those guys asked him the question, if not you, who? And they gave my phone number without my permission. Then Justin Priest started calling me, and like, why these guys calling me? Then I called my friend and said, hey, what the heck you gave my number without my permission? But I'm so excited that happened, and now I understand it, because after 9 years, we have 400 licensed agents. We're one of the biggest teams that is growing in WFG, and we're helping our community. There's over 66.3 million people in the US who speak Spanish and don't have access to our tools, our resources, our community, our products. They don't have access to that. So I'm very excited to be part of that. But that was because somebody gave my phone number without my permission. So take that story, steal it from me, when somebody says, hey, I don't know if I can give you my brother's number. Oh, I will tell you a story about that, okay? And you can tell my story. But when I came to this business, you know that most salespeople, they talk too big, like most salespeople. They talk really big, which is great, but most of the times they're not backing up the talking, right? Like I'm making a lot of money, but they're not making anything. I was kind of that guy. So I was like, I'm doing good, I'm doing great. But when I was recruiting to WFG, I had about $100,000 in debt, about $60,000 in credit cards, about $50,000 in student loans. I used to be a medical student, so that's also, you can put it there. I know a medical student that is doing good here. But nothing to do with this now, but I'm just telling you that because I came to the business not knowing anything about business, and I started learning, right? So I started going to academies. I started learning a lot. My first year in business, I only made $4,000, and my first day in WFG was January 2nd, 2016. So actually, I worked the entire year, and I only made $4,000. So that doesn't sound too exciting. Of course, I got the knowledge, I got a lot of stuff. But I got a community of people, like that guy over there, that he said, Alex, I believe in you. Nathan Shora, give it up for him, right? Being part of a community is important. Because again, you have two groups. And most of you guys are coming from the group that people are putting you down. And sometimes when we think about quitting, and you guys are not the only one. I have thought about quitting like 100,000 times. But I always start thinking, I want to make sure that if I have 10 reasons to quit, I have to make sure that I have 11 for not quitting. Because my beginnings were not easy. And people ask me, Alex, how do you stick with it? One, for some reason, because I always talk about this, like you have to believe in yourself. The main difference that I see in my 11 years, actually I turned my 11th year anniversary with my license a couple days back, which is great. But now looking back, I have talked to a lot of people, thousands over thousands of people. But the difference that I see between people that are successful and people who are not successful is that they, sometime in their lifetime, right, they had a turning point. They start believing in themselves. And I'll give you a couple of examples because a lot of people, they take action when something bad happens. They look for life insurance when somebody close to them died, right? They start saving because there's something bad that happened to them. Maybe I'm gonna go and do my 3:30 now, and I'm gonna go to my S&D run because something happened to us, and that's why we made a decision. Doesn't have to be that way all the time. When we talk about a turning point, it's specifically a time where you make a decision where your life turns around in a very big way. I'll give you a very recent example, and then I'm gonna go back to what I was saying about the clients and all the stuff. But last year, I came to the 10X, and I spoke. We had a great time. I met a lot of people from Limitless, and I got more connected with Nick, and I'm very excited. So then a couple weeks later, I believe was the same week, we had an SMD Academy. We had one SMD Academy in Nashville, and I was able to bring a couple people that I believe that they were close to SMD, and I brought them in. And we had a great time, a lot of training. And I remember that I was in Nick's house, and we were playing poker, and we were doing stuff, and one of the guys that I brought to that house, that I believe in him, and said, hey, come to this event, because this is gonna be a life-changing event for you. You're gonna make a decision to become SMD in the next few months. He said, Alex, I wanna talk to you. And we actually spoke in Nick's kitchen for like 3 hours. And out of that conversation, we spoke a lot. We were fighting back and forth because we were talking about leadership and a bunch of stuff. And then he said this, Alex, the way you look, you're not a leader. And I had two decisions to make. I could cry, I could take action, I could just hit him in his face, right? I could do a lot of things. When he left, right, then he went to Experior, a bunch of crime happened afterwards. But I said, hey, I have to learn something from this. I had to make a decision. And that was one part of my turning point, that I have lost about 50 pounds in the last 12 months. My income is going up. My leadership skills have been going up. And he is probably a loser still. But anyways, but I'm telling you the story because what has to happen, and probably you can put this question in your notes, what has to happen in your life for you to take action, for you to make a decision? And we're gonna do a quick exercise. When Nick told me about this subject, I'm like, what can I talk about, right? So I've been reflecting a lot, and I've been, watching things, but I want to do this exercise with you. Let's say tomorrow, you wake up, there's no income coming in. Maybe you guys know your numbers, how much saved you have. You cannot sell your assets, and that's all you have. From tomorrow on, there's no jobs, there's no opportunity, there's no way for you to make a single dollar more. Now with that thing that I'm saying, start thinking about how long you will last. Because you still have to pay bills, you still have to buy groceries, right? But the income is not coming anymore. Now start thinking, what's gonna happen to your house? What's going to happen to your family? Eventually you will run out of food. Eventually they're going to cut the lights off, and the electricity and the internet and the water, and they're going to repo your cars probably. Your clothes is going to stink because now you won't have money to buy, Tide, right? So if you guys are thinking about what I'm saying, do you guys have some feels, some chills? Raise your hand if you feel some chills right now, just by thinking of that. Okay? Now the question is, do you want to go to that stage to have a turning point in your life to make a decision? No. So that's why this event is designed for you to make a decision. And that's why it's so important to connect, to enjoy, to take some notes, no $1 million piece, because this is true, this is real. I remember one time, that was 2017. As I said, I made $4,000 my first year. Alex, how were you living? Well, I used to live by myself. I was a medical student. I just asked my mom, hey, and I know you love me, and I know you're not too much agree about this business that I'm doing, but I know you love me, and I do need a place to stay. And she said, well, you can come back home, but it's going to be different now, because now we have 10 cousins living in one room. Because back then, we had a lot of people coming from my country here. So I said, okay, perfect, I'll do that. So we literally were almost 10 people in one room, literally. And that's why I was able to lower my expenses. But I remember in 2017, I was in one academy, kind of like a room like this. And one guy, one of our leaders, he approached me, he touched me here, and he said, you need to go to California. And there was an event coming up, and I'm in Orlando, Florida, so that's a long trip, and that's money. I didn't have anything. And I said, sure, I'll do it. And I bought one-way ticket right at that event. I made a decision right there with the only money I had. And my mom, back then, she used to be my bank. She used to be my lender. So for whatever I needed, I said, Mom, I need gas money, I need this money. Again, when are you gonna quit? And I decided to go to California. Because you have to be in big events. Because in big events, you can make decisions. Being on a Zoom call, I'm sorry for the people who are in Zoom. Being in Zoom is not enough. You have to be in person. So I went to California and we had a blast. No money, like literally. I remember one day I woke up out of the office and I didn't have money to Uber or anything. And then one guy approached us. He's like, "What's up, guys? What are you doing?" We're like, "Do you have plans?" "No, we're gonna eat pizza." I'm like, "Great!" So we went pizza. We went and eat pizza with them. But I remember that night, one of my uplines, Augie Reese, and it was his 50th birthday. And he said, "We're gonna go to San Francisco to eat and celebrate my birthday." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'll go." And they were getting Ubers, and I was just sitting there. I was like, "Okay, perfect." And the restaurant was right across the Trans-America building. You can actually see from the windows, you could see the Trans-America building. So we have dinner, and then the bill comes. And I was able to get a little more money to have a one night motel, and then try to get money to the flight back the next day. I have like probably $80. And the bill comes. And I know that there's something called the exchange principles. You guys know that? And if you guys do not know that, make sure you go to the next training, next academy. And one of the exchanges is called the meal exchange. The meal exchange says that when you are sitting down with your leader, with your coach, and he's coaching you, you guys are having a good time in any conversation, he's not supposed to pay the bill. I'm supposed to pay the bill. Because it's his time, it's his knowledge, I'm gathering everything, right? And then I told Augie, "Don't worry, I got you." I didn't have any dollars on my name. Like I had like only that. I paid I paid the bill. They were supposed to go to the airport, and I said, "Sure." They went there, and that night I slept on the streets of San Francisco. The day after, I was able to find like $100 something. I was close to the San Francisco International Airport, and the cheapest flight to Orlando was from Oakland Airport. But again, I didn't have any dollar. So I said, "You know what, I have some charge in my phone, I can walk." And I walked over 35,000 steps from one airport to the next, so I could go and get back home. And I'm telling you that story because it goes back to the question, why are you here? It goes back to the question, what do you want? So let's do a quick exercise. I want you guys to put in your notes. I will give you actually 1 minute because we're running out of time. Put 10 things that you want to accomplish by the end of this year, money-wise. I want to pay my debt. I want to pay my car. I have this going on that I need to get it fixed. I need to keep this income level. Like exactly what do you want? You have to be specific. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, I love my kids and I love my dad." No. Like be specific. I know you love them, but you gotta be specific. What do you want? Put the 10 things. We got 40 seconds. So put the 10 things that you want to accomplish by the end of this year. And you have to refresh that list every single time. Because a lot of people, they put goals in, and they do their job. They accomplish them. But then they stop putting goals. When you don't have a goal, you don't have anything to aim, then you'll be stuck. Okay? So, start putting those thoughts there. And your goal is to sit down with your SMD today, tomorrow, and make sure they know what you want. Because our job as leaders is to show you the way to make that happen in the next 3 months, next 4 months, next 5 months. Our goal, our job is to give you the tools and resources for you to make it happen. Now that you guys are putting those thoughts in that piece of paper, I want you to really start reading those back to you and start thinking, do I really want this? Because going back to my story, you have to have a concentrated power of will what Nick said. You really have to want it. There's winners and there's no winners. There's no in between. Do you believe or you do not believe? There's no middle. There's no maybe. No, it's you do or you do not. And everything starts with that. Because if your wife is strong enough, you'll do whatever it takes, legally, ethically, to make it happen. You guys will be mad at yourselves if you guys become 7-figure earners in the next 10 years. You guys will be mad about it? Really? No. So if you guys know that in the next 10 years you all will be millionaires, what's stopping you to do the things that you have to do now to make it happen? But there is self-doubt. There are things that come to our mind saying you cannot do it, you're a loser, or whatever. And because of those thoughts are in our minds, then that stops us from becoming the best version of ourselves. But you have to understand that this business, and I've seen this. I've been almost 10 years in WFG. That's why I'm pushing our EBC, I'm pushing our 7-figure rank, because I'm like, man, I have to hit it like at least a 10. I'll be woo, okay? So you have to understand, and what I'm seeing from this company, from our community, what I've seen in the last couple of years that I've been now exposed to greatness, to leaders, to coaches like Nick and so many others, is that this is a business that you have to think long term. And when I say long term, I'm not talking about 20 years. I'm talking about 10 or less. So in less than 10 years, put your age in that piece of paper. Put your age and add a number 10 to it. You'll be millionaire by that time. Or before. For some will be, I cannot wait till 80. No, heck no. Well, you gotta put a sense of urgency on that. But everything starts for you to understand, what do you want? Because when a turning point comes to your life, you actually figured it out, the turning point, right after it happens, not while it happens. But these events are so great that it will give you all the tools, it will give you the excitement. It's how you feel. Every single event I go to, it's not about what I learn. Of course, I learn a lot and I get a lot of feedback and I get a lot of great networking experiences, but it's how I feel in those events that maybe made a decision that changed my life, whatever. In every single event, I have an outcome. In every single event, I made a decision. In that decision, I just carry on to the next event. The next big event is when? Nashville, Tennessee, we got the Prosperity Bowl. And that event will change your life. How many people are you bringing with you? Because this business is about helping others, is to sharing your story with them, because your story inspires others by you selling the dream that this is possible. Are you selling the dream or are you selling the nightmare? That's why it's so important to believe in yourself. And if you don't, just ask for some therapy or do something about it. Right? So now, guys, I'm very excited, and we're gonna do a quick exercise in the last minute that we have on. I want you guys to stand up, right? And I want you to scream out of your lungs, like you guys will be with no voice whatsoever today after this exercise. And you will scream, I will, I can, I must. And we're gonna repeat that 10 times actually. So we have 1 minute to do it. You gotta scream out of your lungs, I will, I can, I must. 10 times. So let's do it in 3, 2, 1, go. I will.